7 Days to Die is a zombie survival horror game developed by the Fun Pimps and published by Telltale Games, with its current platforms being the PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. It combines elements of zombie games like Left 4 Dead and DayZ with games like Minecraft, where you can build structures to hide in or prevent the zombies from being able to get to you, while simultaneously blending in a good mix of combat and stealth and scavenging and you name it. There's a lot of elements in this game, and some of it you'll see here, some of it you won't see in this video at all. There's a lot of meat here, and it's going to take a while to get through all of it, which actually, now that I mention it, I won't be able to. But I will try to cover with you as much as I discovered in my first few hours of playing this game. There are 4 main things I'd like to discuss in this video: gameplay, graphics, sound design, and replayability. The first thing obviously being graphics. It's going to be one of the first things you notice about this game. Now, I'm not going to riff on them too much. In fact, I'm not going to spend much time talking about them at all. I mean, after all, this is an indie studio we're talking about, not Ubisoft or Electronic Arts or Namco Bandai or any of those AAA game developers slash publishers who are able to pump out graphics like that. This is an open world that can either be preset or randomly generated with good lighting, good shadows, interesting zombie models and varied animations, and tons of weapons and blocks at your disposal. Now, that being said, it is worth mentioning the poor graphics because they are kind of a staple in this day and age, especially with next-gen consoles like the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, but if the game is fun and entertaining and is able to suck me into its world, then graphics are a pile of dirt on the side of the road. And in this case, this game was fortunate enough to be fun enough to overshadow those under-par graphics. So as I said, there's some good lighting and shadows. There are very few texture glitches. I think I only saw... Actually, I didn't see any now that I think about it. So the game is able to stabilize itself with the simplistic graphics. And with that said, now it's time to get to one of the more important matters, which is the gameplay. When discussing gameplay, there are a lot of elements to cover. Everything from scavenging in cars, shops, and houses for supplies, to building up your base to be bigger, badder, and even more badass, to creating armor and weapons to protect yourself from the horde of enemies that will be inevitably attacking you on the 7th day, which, speaking of, it's worth mentioning. No, the game doesn't end on the 7th day like I originally thought it did. 7 days to die? Well, I guess you only get 7 days. No, on the 7th day, specifically at night, a horde of zombies will attack you, and you have to hold out and survive. If you do, or, well, even if you don't, the game actually continues. So every 7 days, a horde will attack you, and you get every single other day to prepare for that horde. So with that out of the way, now it's time to discuss something else. How gameplay works in a nutshell. Simply put, build, scavenge, survive. Oh, and kill, of course. When you're not killing zombies or scavenging, you'll be building or crafting. There's a lot of building and crafting. If you're not a fan of Minecraft, this game may not be for you. And if you're not a fan of zombie games, this game may not also be for you. But if you're a fan of both games, then, well, this game is just your cup of tea. Sound design is really good for the most part. Let's talk about really good moments where the sound is just great. At night, when you hear wolves in the distance, or the wind is rustling through the trees, or there's a storm and you hear that loud snap of crackling thunder, and you hear the crickets and the zombies moaning, especially in the huge hordes where it's just a ton of noise and they're all coming at you. Yeah, the sound is great in those instances. However, there are cases where, like, let's say you're walking between biomes, because this is very Minecraft-esque, even down to the biomes. There's a snow biome, a burnt forest biome, etc. And occasionally, if you walk between the biomes, let's say it's raining in one but not in the other, the rain will get really, really, really loud for a second and then just completely disappear. Occasionally also, shooting guns will lose their sound. There's a noise that happens every time you collect a resource like wood or stone, and sometimes that noise ceases to, well, exist. The most apparent of these little sound deficiencies would definitely be the guns, and bows and crossbows also seemingly are missing their sound effects altogether. There's no noise at all of shooting the bow, especially the crossbow too. You'd think, you'd think there'd be like a snapping noise or something. No, there's just nothing. But I'm sure that's probably some kind of glitch. If not, if it was intentional, not a big deal. The sound design, as I said, is generally really good, especially pertaining to sound effects that aren't your own weapons. But that's all I have to say for that. Replayability in games is important because for a lot of us gamers, maybe not all of us, but for most of us, playing a game through only once usually isn't enough to satisfy our spending of $20, $40, $60, $120, you name it. And this game is actually very replayable, as you might guess. Minecraft has a lot of replayability because of all the things you can do in it. DayZ and all those other zombie games like Left 4 Dead, the list goes on and on. Those have always been replayable because of how fun they are. This game is no exception. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the replayability either because it's kind of a given. The way the game is set up with the scavenging, the hunting, the crafting, there's just so much, and some of it I haven't even touched on. There's a vehicle that you can craft. There's all kinds of structures like a church and a village and houses sprawling, throughout hardware stores. There's just so much here that this game, it would be a sin to not consider this game replayable. So, all in all, I'd say this game is really, really good. I'm not going to put a number on it because this isn't technically a review. This is just what I saw in my first few hours, those first few hours being 10 or more. And I just wanted to give you guys kind of a brief image of what this game is. I think it's a lot of fun. There's some cons, but I think the pros outweigh the cons. For $30, it's hard to decide whether or not that price point is worth it, but I guess then again, there are much, much worse games out there that will ask for, if not the same amount of money, even more. So, yeah, I'd say maybe pick this up if there's ever a price drop, or if you're really a fan of the concept, if you really like Minecraft, and you really like zombies, and you really, really like the idea of a game combining those two, then go out, humor yourself, get it. I know you won't regret it. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe if you feel you want to. I didn't prepare a script for this, as I probably should have, so if I'm stuttering a lot, that's why. I'll probably make a script next time, because this probably isn't the most professional way to make one of these, but I guess at the same time I wanted my thoughts to be as honest as possible, and the only way to do that is by just saying everything that comes to my mind, rather than having time to think of ways to make it sound different. You kind of understand what I'm saying, hopefully, but as I said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.